Okay, so we've all heard that phrase, right? Thoughts are things. It gets tossed around a lot.
Definitely. In self-help circles, motivational talks, everywhere.
But what if it wasn't just, a nice metaphor? What if our thoughts were actually literal energies, like something quantifiable that could genuinely shape our reality? Let's unpack that a bit.
Yeah, let's dive in.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into this whole world of thinking in terms of frequencies, and specifically how one person, Lauren Knight Hughes, claims it completely turned her life around.
Hmm.
Our main source is this really interesting YouTube video she made. She lays out her personal story and, importantly, a pretty practical way she approached this whole frequency idea.
Okay, so a personal account.
Exactly.
You-
So our mission here is to explore, what are these frequencies she talks about? How does she claim she used them to go from, well, deep anxiety and being totally broke to abundance and real joy?
And maybe look at the science behind it, or the philosophy.
Precisely. What are the potential underpinnings here? Get ready, because it connects some surprising dots and offers a perspective that honestly feels pretty transformative.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about someone who went from $0, literally nothing, to making well into six figures.
Wow.
Ended a decade-long battle with anxiety, attracted the exact kind of people and opportunities she wanted, and the kicker, she insists this method is totally free, accessible to anyone.
That's quite a claim. So free and accessible.
Right. So the core idea, the central concept, is that thoughts aren't just these abstract little things floating in our heads.
Hmm.
They're described as literal frequencies, which sounds powerful, but maybe a bit out there for some. How do we make that tangible?
That's the key question, isn't it? How do we ground this?
And if they are frequencies, what does it mean that we can supposedly enhance or diminish them?
Well, yeah, it's more than just a neat analogy. If you look at some areas of quantum physics and consciousness research, this idea starts feeling a bit less woo-woo and maybe more, well, quantum, for lack of a better term. You've probably heard of the observer effect.
Where observing a particle changes its behavior. Yeah.
Exactly. It suggests consciousness isn't just a passive bystander. It might actually play a role in shaping reality at a really fundamental level.
Mm-hmm.
So if you extend that logic, the idea is that our thoughts, being a form of conscious energy, might actively sort of tune into or even help create the reality we experience, almost like dialing a specific station on a radio.
Okay, I can see that analogy.
It connects to things like the law of attraction or that old saying, you get what you are. Maybe these phrases are hinting at this underlying energetic nature of our inner world, these frequencies we're talking about.
So when Lauren says thoughts as literal frequencies, she means each thought, each feeling isn't just happening in your head. It's like an energetic vibration, a signal you're constantly sending out.
Precisely. Like your own personal broadcast signal. And what she apparently found, and what some consciousness researchers are exploring, is that there's a kind of scale for these frequencies, a tangible frequency scale for our feelings.
Scale. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Researchers are actually mapping this out. It's pretty fascinating. At the very top, you have the highest frequencies, feelings like joy, pure excitement, unconditional love. Think fast, light, expansive vibrations.
Right. Feels good just thinking about them.
And then at the other end, the lowest, densest vibrations. Things like shame, fear.
Yeah, heavy stuff.
Very heavy. And then in between, you've got the whole spectrum, right? Jealousy, resentment, anger, boredom, contentment, all of it.
So the whole range of human emotion.
Which leads to a really important question, doesn't it? If this is a spectrum we're all on, what's our natural default setting as humans? Where do we tend to hang out?
That is crucial. And according to Lauren's perspective, left to our own devices, we humans often tend to gravitate towards the lower end of that scale.
Why is that?
It seems almost biological, like a leftover survival instinct, maybe. We're wired to notice the potential danger, the bad stuff, the what-ifs. It kept us alive back in the day.
Survival mode. Makes sense.
So before she figured this out, Lauren describes herself as being stuck, habitually looping on a really low frequency, just this constant grinding program of anxiety, worry, depression.
Like a broken record.
Exactly. She was literally trapped in thought patterns that kept her feeling terrible and, crucially, unable to even perceive anything better.
Wow. So it blinded her to the good stuff.
Seems like it. Which makes her transformation story even more compelling. She talks about going from waking up crying every single day,
Oh, wow.
just crushed by anxiety and depression, having $0, like literally zero to a life where suddenly she's getting paid $10,000 just to move to the city she wanted to live in,
No way.
meeting her best friends almost immediately upon arrival. And now, she says, experiencing basically no drama, no negative people around her.
That's a radical shift.
It really is, and she attributes all of it directly to consciously, deliberately shifting her internal frequency.
Okay, so how? How does this actually work in practice? What does this mean for, someone listening right now?
Right, the practical how-to. She's really clear. It wasn't just about forcing herself to think positive thoughts or slapping on a fake smile. That often doesn't work when you feel awful.
No, it usually feels inauthentic.
Totally. The real breakthrough, she says, was actively working on the feelings, the emotions she was experiencing while she was thinking. That link, that connection between the thought and the actual feeling, that's apparently what dictates your frequency.
Ah, okay. So it's the feeling state.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Because you find you can't just mentally wrestle a bad feeling away,
Right.
especially deep anxiety, depression.
Exactly.
When you're that low, the sheer willpower to just think different thoughts often isn't there. It feels impossible.
Right. So her solution wasn't about battling every single negative thought head on. It was smarter than that. It was about changing the input, changing what she was feeding her mind.
Changing the input. How?
Yeah. So her daily practice, and she was religious about this, started the second she woke up.
Immediately.
Immediately. Before that usual wave of dread or worry could hit, she'd instantly reach for her phone or computer and put on a YouTube video.
Okay. Any specific kind?
Yeah, she mentions teachers like Abraham Hicks, people known for talking about law of attraction, vibrations, that kind of thing. Stuff that soothed her mind.
Ah, so using external sources.
Exactly. Videos that reminded her constantly, thoughts are frequencies, thoughts are things. She basically borrowed other people's high-frequency thoughts to help lift her own state, especially crucial when her own mind felt stuck in that low gear.
That's actually a really practical strategy, isn't it? When your own motivation or willpower is just shot, consciously curate your immediate mental environment. Choose what you let in first thing. You're not just passively consuming. You're actively setting your energetic tone for the day.
Like using an external source to jumpstart your own engine.
Exactly, like an emotional jumpstart. Okay, so that's step one. What else?
From there, she'd often go to a coffee shop to write. But again, very intentionally. She'd put on specific music, uplifting, elevating music, acknowledging that music itself is another huge example of frequencies directly hitting our mood. We all know this intuitively, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. The right song can totally change your state in seconds.
So she used that deliberately.
Right. Music is like this universal frequency language. And paying attention to what music you're drawn to or what you choose to listen to can be a really good indicator of your current frequency.
And a tool to shift it.
And a powerful tool to shift it, yeah, towards something higher.
Okay, so music, then the writing. She kept this notebook she playfully called her magic book.
Magic book. Okay, I'm intrigued.
In it, she'd write down everything good that happened yesterday. Now, crucially, this wasn't just like a rote gratitude list, though it sounds similar.
Okay, so what's the difference?
The key, she emphasizes, was to write for the feeling, to actually re-experience the positive emotion as she wrote about it.
Ah, so embodying the feeling again.
Yes. And the act of writing itself helps you focus, right? One thought at a time. It actively interrupts those old, negative, low-frequency loops that used to hijack her mornings.
That makes sense. It forces focus.
It's a real shift in perspective, isn't it? Moving from just passively reacting to whatever thoughts pop up to actively curating your inner world.
It really is. And she compares this whole practice to, like, exercising a muscle, building a mental muscle. Think about our world bombards us with negativity, right? News cycles, social media often highlighting problems, what's wrong, what we lack. So our sort of societal default frequency often gets tuned low to noticing the bad stuff. Her practice is about intentionally training your mind to do the opposite, to actively seek out and appreciate the good.
Building up that appreciation muscle.
Exactly. It's like creating a counter program to all the external noise.
And she did this consistently, religiously, she says, for 5 years straight, building this new default thinking program centered on appreciation.
5 years is real commitment.
It is, and it retuned her focus. She started noticing tiny, seemingly insignificant things that were actually, as she puts it, pretty badass and cool.
Like what kind of things?
Like waking up right on time without needing an alarm, getting free coffee from the barista, having a really great smooth team meeting at work.
Stuff you normally just glass over.
Totally. Things she admits she would never have even registered before because her focus, her frequency, was tuned to anxiety and lack. Her attention was just elsewhere.
Which brings up a fascinating point about perception itself, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Lauren uses this great analogy. Thinking in frequencies is like dialing an old cell phone or tuning a radio.
Hmm.
Your set point, your usual emotional and energetic state, determines which signals or experiences you can even pick up.
Ah, okay.
If you're habitually tuned to a lower frequency like anxiety or resentment, you literally might not be able to hear or perceive the good things happening around you, even if they're right there.
So they exist, but you can't access them.
Exactly. Her experience was that she genuinely couldn't see the good stuff because her own internal frequency was too low. It was like having blinders on, denying her access to positive experiences and opportunities that were potentially available.
Wow. Okay, now, I know for some listeners this might be starting to sound a bit woo-woo.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
Or maybe just another spin on manifestation techniques we've heard before. And Lauren acknowledges that. But she is adamant, saying this approach truly changed my life. It brought the money, the right people, better health, a whole new reality. But it raises the question, is this some literal external force responding? Or is it all internal?
That's a really important distinction. And interestingly, Lauren herself seems to emphasize the internal shift first and foremost.
Okay.
It wasn't about just sitting around wishing for money or trying to manifest things purely through thought. It was more about the consistent work of raising her own frequency.
Becoming a different person energetically.
Exactly. She became someone who was naturally aligned with and therefore receptive to those positive experiences. The core was about consistently feeling good, feeling happy, genuinely believing deep down that life is good and supportive.
So the feeling state comes first.
That intrinsic belief and feeling state then acted like the magnet. It wasn't just a fleeting positive thought. It was her sustained way of being.
Okay, so let's say someone puts in the work, does the writing, listens to the music, shifts their focus. They raise that set point. What happens then? Does the process change?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Lauren shares that as her default frequency, her set point, got higher and more stable,
Yeah.
she started doing something she calls scripting her future.
Scripting, like writing a movie script.
Sort of. She'd write down things she was excited about, things she wanted to experience, but she'd describe them as if they were already happening, in the present tense, with all the positive feeling attached.
Ah, embodying it again.
Exactly. And because she was already consistently in that good feeling state, already expecting the best, she found that the things she scripted, often, well, they actually happened.
Whoa.
It's almost like by holding that high frequency and clearly defining what she wanted from that state, she was laying down this detailed, energetic blueprint for her future self to just step into.
That's pretty mind-bending.
It is. And it might sound purely anecdotal, but this actually connects to some really cutting-edge ideas. Ideas that are blurring the lines between what we think of as spirituality and hard science.
Like what?
Well, Lauren mentioned she's interviewed physicists. People like Thomas Campbell. He studied consciousness for decades, been on Joe Rogan's podcast talking about this stuff.
Okay, serious researchers.
Yeah, and others, like an author who wrote a book called Real Magic. They're exploring this really radical possibility. What if consciousness isn't just something the brain produces?
What else would it be?
What if consciousness itself is the fundamental baseline of reality? The actual stuff everything is made of, more fundamental than even space-time in Einstein's model.
Ooh, okay, that's a big idea.
It's huge. But if it's true, then our individual consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, our focus, could be immensely powerful, actively shaping the reality we perceive. We're not just observers, we're participants, maybe even creators.
Like antennas.
Exactly like her antenna analogy. We're broadcasting and receiving signals within this vast field of consciousness.
Think about it. Everything human-made around us, right? Our cities, our homes, the tech we use. It all started as a thought in someone's head. An idea, a frequency that eventually manifested into physical reality.
It's true.
So in Lauren's view, we really are like these antennas constantly pulling in people, situations, things, almost like a gravitational force based on what we are energetically, what we consistently think about and feel. We get what we are broadcasting.
And looking at it this way completely reframes how we might view problems like anxiety and depression, doesn't it?
How so?
They're described not just as chemical imbalances or solely as illnesses in the traditional medical sense, but as, well, Long calls it a sickness of the mind.
A sickness of thoughts.
Yeah. Or maybe more accurately, a sickness of deeply ingrained, looping habits of thought. Patterns that just keep our frequency stuck in that low, painful range.
Habit.
And if they're habits, even deeply ingrained ones, that implies they can be changed, right?
Hmm.
It raises this crucial possibility. The solution involves actively working out the mind.
Like mental fitness.
Precisely. Intentionally embedding new, higher frequency thought and feeling habits. Just like you train a specific muscle group at the gym to build strength and overcome weakness, you're retraining your brain's default pathways.
So, okay, bringing this all together, what does this mean for us, for you listening? We've explored this really fascinating idea, thoughts, not just as ideas, but as literal tunable frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard Lauren Knight Hughes' personal story, pretty dramatic transformation, and touched on these potential links to quantum physics, consciousness. It's a powerful perspective, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests we might have more influence on our reality than we typically believe.
So what's the main takeaway here?
I think the core message is one of agency, profound personal agency. You have this incredible ability to influence your inner state, your thoughts, your feelings, your focus.
And by doing that,
You can potentially influence your outer experiences. It's about understanding you can build new mental habits.
Yeah.
You can consciously choose which station you tune your emotional dial to.
Right.
And recognizing that your internal frequency really does seem to act like a kind of magnet, attracting experiences and circumstances that resonate with it.
So it's an invitation, really.
It absolutely is an invitation to stop being just a passive observer of your life and step into the role of an active architect, shaping your reality from the inside out.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought to mull over, doesn't it? If consciousness really is the fundamental baseline of reality, and if our thoughts and feelings are the frequencies we're broadcasting into that field, what amazing, incredible, maybe previously unimaginable realities could you start to construct simply by consciously tuning your own internal antenna starting today?